By virtue of the power vested in me as Vice-Chancellor, I hereby constitute this congregation of the University of the Witwatersrand for the conferment of degrees, diplomas, and certificates. Ladies and gentlemen, friends, colleagues, members of the university community, and graduates, welcome to this virtual graduation ceremony. I wish it could have been different. I wish that each one of you was in this great hall at Wits University. I wish that each one of you would be able to walk across the stage and that I could individually congratulate each one of you. Unfortunately, that is not possible. We're in the midst of a pandemic, and it is important that each one of us takes precautions to ensure that we all are safe. COVID-19 infection rates are increasing across the nation, and it is absolutely important that we collectively begin to behave in a manner that brings this pandemic under control. We know what needs to be done. We know we need to use sanitizers. We know we need to use masks. We know that we require social distancing. And if we don't do that, then the collective community, our loved ones, are at threat. And this is why, however difficult this was, we decided to have this virtual ceremony. But I still want to welcome you to this virtual ceremony. You see, in a sense, we've gone through all of this, including my dressing up in this Shakespearean outfit, simply because we think it is important to celebrate your achievements. You know, graduates, you not have only achieved for yourselves and for your family and for your community, but you represent hope for a nation. You demonstrate that we can overcome, that despite our very, very distinctive circumstances, despite the fact that many of us come from difficult social conditions, we can overcome the challenges of our society. And you can become skilled professionals, skilled leaders, and that you can proceed to overcome the divides of our past. That's why we've gone out of our way to celebrate this moment with you. We want to honor you, but we want to also honor your family, your loved ones and friends who supported you throughout these difficult years. But I want to also stipulate that you can only achieve the healing of this nation if you act in line and in accordance with the very mandate of this institution. You know, many students get angry with the institutions of learning. They all grumble about the universities which they study in. But it is important to celebrate these public institutions. It is important to recognize that this institution where you're earning your degree from, the University of Witwatersrand, is a particularly special institution. It is a particularly important institution. You know, I could give you a whole series of facts. I could tell you that we graduate every year something in the region of 9,500 graduates. I could tell you we publish 2,000 research papers every year. I could tell you about our discoveries. I could tell you something like 94 or 95% of our graduates who enter the job market get a job within 6 months. I can tell you that our institution is financially sustainable, and our budget has grown every single year for the last 7 to 8 years. I can tell you that for the first time in our history, the majority of our academics are black. And I can tell you that we've brought together the fundamental principle of transforming our institution and ensuring that we build an excellent institution. I could tell you all of this, but perhaps what I should tell you is how this institution has risen to the challenge of the pandemic that we currently confront. In a lot of ways, that symbolizes how special this institution is. What I can tell you is that when this pandemic hit our shores, and particularly crossed the institutional boundaries of Wits University, we decided in the space of 3 weeks to shift our entire teaching program online. What happened is there were politicians who opposed us. There were some student leaders that opposed us. But we said we can do this. And so, for the last 9 months, we've taught our teaching program online. We did what many great universities around the world did. But we did it in a deeply unequal society. So when our student leaders, when our politicians, when activists, and when broadly the university community said to us that, look, some of our students don't have devices. Some of them do not have the connectivity. We decided to purchase 5,000 computers and distribute that to the students that didn't have devices. We negotiated with the telecoms and the service providers to provide connectivity to 38,000 students at no cost to the students. When student leaders and students told us that their social circumstances don't lend themselves to learning, and when lockdown regulations began to be withdrawn, we began to ensure that students whose living circumstances did not lend itself to learning were prioritized for a return to the universities. You know, see, social justice is not about a reversion to the lowest common denominator. Social justice is about lending a helping hand, giving an opportunity to those who don't have the ability to study appropriately. It's to give them some assistance so that we create equitable conditions of learning for all members of our university community. That's what this university did. It brought learning at the center, at the core of what we do. But simultaneously, it addressed the social injustices in our environment. We brought academic excellence and social justice in alignment with each other. We did what all great universities did, but we did it in a deeply unequal society. And then, when we required a vaccine, we became part of the vaccine trials. It is this university that entered the global partnerships to do vaccine trials, so our universities of the world produce the vaccine that is required to ensure this pandemic doesn't continue to afflict humanity. We brought institutions together across institutional, across global, across continental boundaries. We said that science has no boundaries, and we brought science. We created partnerships that transcended institutional, continental, national, and global divides. Because that's what universities should be doing in a globalized world. And so, this special institution is reflected in both how we went online and how we partnered in addressing the challenge of creating a vaccine. That's the kind of institution you graduate from. And that bringing together of academic excellence and social justice, what I call a radical pragmatism, is what is required of you as graduates when you go into all of those institutions that you will occupy in the coming months and years. Remember, your responsibility is fulfill the core mandate of what Wits stands for: to create excellent professionals, but to create excellent professionals with a heart, with an empathy, with an ability to heal the divides of our past. Because only when we come together as a human community in this country, in this world, across this continent, then only will we be able to address the transnational challenges of our time. So with those words, I want to welcome you to this virtual ceremony. Again, I want to say, I'm sorry that it could not be in person, but it is the institution trying to be responsible under very, very difficult moments. But we will overcome this challenge, and we will go on, you and I, this institution and all members of its community will go on to build and try and assist in healing the divides of our past. I thank you. I call upon the Vice Principal and Vice Chancellor Designate, Professor Zebulon Vilagazi, to present our two candidates for an honorary degree.
Mr. Vice Chancellor, I have the honor to request you to confer on Professor Henry Gates Jr. the degree of Doctor of Literature, honoris causa, and on Mr. Henry Ngumalo the degree of Doctor of Literature, posthumously honoris causa.
I confer the degree of Doctor of Literature, honoris causa, on Prof. Henry Gates Jr. And I confer the degree of Doctor of Literature, posthumously honoris causa, on Mr. Henry Ngumalo. Today, candidates will be presented for degrees in the 4 faculties: the Faculty of Commerce, Law and Management, the Faculty of Engineering and the Built Environment, the Faculty of Humanities, and the Faculty of Science. I confer degrees on the persons whose names appear in the graduation program.
Good afternoon, Sanibonani, and welcome to the December cluster of graduation ceremonies. It's a true honor to be able to conduct this, though it's virtual. It's been a difficult year for all families, not just in South Africa, but the world over. If there's anything that we learned with the pandemic, COVID-19 pandemic, it's just how interconnected we are, how it's important for us to collaborate, how it matters that we take care of our health and our safety so that our families will be safe. I congratulate those that are graduating. They didn't do it on their own. They needed the support of family and friends. We thank family and friends for their support, but we also thank the teachers, the lecturers who dedicated time in making sure that the students do well. In this cluster of ceremonies, we will have 2,324 students. We will also have 175 doctorate graduates Congratulations, we're really proud of your achievement. But we also have 7 honorary graduands. 2 that will be Thursday, the 10th of December. Those are Mr. Henry Nxumalo, whose doctorate is awarded posthumously. May his soul rest in peace. Professor Henry Gates Jr. also graduates in absentia. There are 5 others. On the 15th, we have 2. Professor Kaya Mfeyana, who's graduating with a DSc in medicine. Miss Lida Hill, graduating with a DSc. On the 17th of December, this honorary doctorate was received in absentia in July 2020. I'm happy that Dr. John Kani made it to receive it face-to-face. On the 17th of December, we also have Professor Lucille Bloomberg. And the last, which will be awarded in absentia on Friday, the 18th of December, is Mr. Richard Enthoven. We are grateful to Wits University for making it possible that in spite of the challenges during the COVID period, we were still able to run virtual classes. As one of the students at Wits, I had the privilege to continue with my course during these difficult times. I thank the lecturers who had to work so hard to ensure that we still feel like we are cared for and get our education. We thank you. This graduation ceremony is bittersweet because we bid farewell to our Vice Chancellor, Professor Adam Habib. I enjoyed working with him. He showed true leadership at the most difficult time, including this year with COVID. We thank you, Adam, for your leadership. We wish you well. We know you're not lost to South Africa, you're not lost to Wits, you're not lost to the continent. I wish you well, your family, in your future endeavor. We'll welcome you back once you're done with your assignment, where you're going. Thank you so much. To the PhD students, having walked the journey, I understand how difficult it is. I understand the sacrifices you had to make. We are so proud of you. Well done. And we know the future is just starting for you. Now that we've come to the end of the ceremony, I just want to wish you well during the December holidays. Stay safe. I know we are tempted, it's been a hard 8 months, if not 10. We are tempted to just go and pretend like it's pre-COVID. Well, it's not. So do stay safe, have fun, make sure that your families are safe. Allah, Allah. We wish you all the best in whatever you choose to do, and all the best for 2021. May it be a better year for the country, for the school, and for the world. Siyanibongela.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the proceedings for today. And now, by virtue of the power vested in me as Vice Chancellor, I hereby dissolve this congregation of the University of the Witwatersrand.